just love and grace for everyone, for everyone. Yeah, for everyone.
The mission team asked Elder Leah Griffith and I to go and do an exploratory trip to meet our partners in Haiti and to see what we were up to see what that was about. And Leah booked the tickets.
Yeah, and we started on our journey. Should we start talking about our trip?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the school, and it is just a lovely building. It was designed by Haitian architects with some input from actually U.S. engineers who are really good at earthquakey stuff. That's the technical term for it, earthquakey stuff. And what's really cool about most of the buildings in Haiti is they're open air. So in here, in the interior, is where the classroom is, and there's, like, if there's a breeze outside, there's a breeze in the classroom. If it's raining outside, the eaves are sort of wide enough that it's not raining in the classroom. But the classrooms are lovely and breezy and just kind of charming. And they keep things in cabinets to keep them safe and to keep them from getting wet. But it's a little bit more like a New Mexican school, I guess, in terms of lots of light and air, but a little bit different than what you get at Brayton School or Lincoln Hubbard.
One of the things that really strikes you when you come to the school, so we landed in Port-au-Prince, and then we drove about probably 10 miles to get up, and you're on paved road through Port-au-Prince and through some of the suburbs, and then you're on a dirt road, and when I mean a dirt road, it's really a rocky path, but, and you go up about probably 4 or 5 more miles, and you land here with this spectacular view, and this is where the school is.
That's looking over the railing
Yeah,
of the
looking over the
school.
railing of the school, but it has this incredible view. It's the first school in this very rural area, and there's kind of one road that goes up, and the whole way up, it sort of looks the same. You have small, very simple little dwellings, and there's not another building in sight. So this school is kind of the community center. So this was our first site of a classroom.
And this is Alex.
Yeah.
You guys need to, this is an important character in all of this. Alex is like,
He's beloved by the children. I kept waiting to, like, is this guy the real deal? He's the real deal, and then some.
Yeah.
He's, for lack of a better term, he would probably be the principal here in the U.S., but they don't
The
use
head
that
teacher.
term. But just a tremendous individual, and
head teacher, translator, bodyguard, tour guide, driver,
everything.
dog wrangler. Yeah.
So this was, we arrived, and this was sort of after school computers for some of the 4th graders, I believe. And so we had just arrived, and we were just kind of observing, and then very quickly, next slide.
Oh, and just a minute on the computers. So they worked really hard to have internet access at the school, which is super cool. And for those of you, the teachers in the school were really excited about partnering and doing an educational exchange, and would love to do some connecting with kids in the classroom, which is cool because they have the capability. It's kind of amazing to think of the work that's gone into that, and certainly when the power is down in Haiti, everything's kind of down, but they do have really good internet, and they're teaching kids 21st century skills that they can use for their whole lives. It's really cool. So here the kids are learning computer skills, which is pretty awesome.
This picture really struck us. It's just a beautiful photo. These, I think, are 3rd grade girls.
This little one and the other, she's like a 3-year-old. The school starts at 3. So all Haitian schools start at 3. She's in the lower school, 3 or 4 years old. And then teaching her is one of the 4th graders. Yeah. And the kids also speak, just in case you all thought you had a lot of homework, and I know my children often complain about Spanish and French homework. So the children are learning Creole, French,
English, and Spanish. Wow. Every child we met was just, they were excited we were there, but they were happy to show us their school.
Thrilled to practice English with us, which
Yes,
was adorable.
practice
We really
English,
which
yeah.
is pretty good, too.
Yeah.
And then right here, they quickly learned that we had cell phones in our pockets that could take pictures and do video, which reminded me a lot of my own children, actually.
So unlike children in the U.S., they weren't looking to play a video game. They wanted to take pictures and videos were, that was really exciting for them, which was great. We were happy to oblige.
On our second day at the school, they were doing a teacher in service where we got to experience.
Oops, you're going the wrong way.
I'm going the wrong way.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're good.
Where we got to experience the dance parties, which are a good addition. If any of you are in school administration, I encourage dance parties for staff meetings. Where also the teachers were asking the essential question. We have some repeats in here. How do we educate? Now remember, the school starts with 3-year-olds. They add 1 grade level every year, and they've been in operation for 6 years. So the oldest child in the school is in 4th year. Next year they'll have a 5th grade, and so on. And so when Catherine is a junior in high school, they'll have sophomores in high school. When you graduate, they'll have a class of juniors. So if we think about Dahlia, they'll be 1 year ahead of you, which is pretty cool to think. So to think about the school growing with our kids. And the staff meeting question was, how do we educate change makers? How do we help our children to make change in their own community? And to watch the teachers, by the way, they're a little better at clapping than we are, no offense. They had a lot of complex rhythms. But to watch a group of 40 teachers, and not just the teachers, it was also the front office staff and the gardener, anyone who has any contacts with kids was in the in-service, and they were discussing together working on this question, which was up there on that screen. How do we educate kids from 3 years old to 4th grade to be change makers in their community? And I don't know about you all, but I really would like to think of the principal and all the teachers getting together to think about those kinds of questions in any of our US schools. In many ways, these are the skills that kids need in the future, thinking about how to be agents of change, thinking about the skills that they need to take. And the answers that people were giving with I had like a lot of I had a lot of French in school, and I was picking up a little bit, and I've been working on my Creole. But the teachers were all giving input. They were working as a community, and they were really coming up with some pretty sophisticated solutions.
And I think it's important to note, we wanted to show you pictures of the teachers. The teachers are all Haitian, and most, or not, if not all of them, either live in that neighborhood now, or that area now, or grew up there. And the ones that grew up there and don't live there anymore, they provide transportation for them. But so they know what it's like to have grown up there. And again, it was so striking to me, it was a little hard for me to, wrap my head around it. This is the first school in this entire community sort of ever. So one little just anecdote that we found very funny is you're going up this rocky road, it's very mountainous, curves, turns. There's this one huge, beautiful tree. And when they first started the school, which is kind of halfway up the mountain, so that they get kids who come down and they get kids that go up. The people who live below the mountain, below this tree is some sort of demarcation. Below the tree really weren't so sure they wanted to go to school with kids above the tree. That was, it was.
That's where the outlaws were.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, needless to say, they're all sort of in community in their school, but.
In addition to the 40 teachers who were in this room and support staff, so every classroom has 2 teachers and an assistant. The assistants are all people who are in training to become teachers. The average salary of any teacher in Haiti is between $200 and $500 a month, which makes them major breadwinners in the community, which is a little hard to get your head around. But in this school, they make a little bit less than they might in high schools. So then also to give you a little bit more of an idea, if you're not in this school, you're walking 2 hours down to the nearest middle school. Yes, that's right, Fritz Huggins. 2 hours to high school. Just think about it for a minute, Cameron, when you're getting ready for school, Lydia, what that would be like to walk 2 hours both ways to get to school. And that's what kids are doing. And in addition to the 40 teachers and support staff that we met in the meeting, the school also employs 36 people who are community educators. And these 36 people, when they're on the bus or in a tap-tap, are going around and they're asking questions like, so.
And they're all parents.
And they're all,
yeah. They're parents of students in the school.
And they're asking questions like, so do you think it's okay for husbands to hit their wives? And just generating conversation and helping people. There's no DIFUS in Haiti. The police certainly are dealing with some pretty major stuff, and so the school is working all the time on creating compassionate communities, on working on conflict resolution, and working on especially issues of women and girls' health and safety. It was incredible to think about these 76 people just at this school site. Haiti Partners has 6 other schools, 4 right where the earthquake happened, 1 in City Soleil, which is
slums.
It is the poorest part in the Western Hemisphere. That's where it is, City Soleil. This school and another school out on an island. So they're supporting 7 schools. And this is the flagship. They bring teachers from all the other schools to come and learn these kind of community-engaged techniques.
When the school first started, and this was a really striking moment for me, they started off with 23-year-olds, and they provided a hot lunch program. And a lot of the kids were malnourished for a variety of reasons. And when then the next year they had 60 kids, and they realized some of the kids were putting food in their pockets to take home to their siblings. They were creating disparity, you were going home and your siblings really weren't eating well, and you were. And they sort of flipped the whole model, and they focused on educating the parents about nutrition, dense nutrition, avocado, plantains, bananas, and they started the community garden that benefits, all of the families there. And so it's just been miraculous to watch. I'm sure it was a very hard decision for them, but they've gone about it in very, very thoughtful ways.
And there are so many things that were like that were really about decreasing conflict, increasing capacity. What we thought we would do, we know that we've showed you a lot of pictures, but the lectionary passage for this week is the Lord's Prayer. And what we thought we'd do is together just go through the Lord's Prayer a little bit and reflect a little bit on our experience in Haiti. So what I thought we'd do is each say, like, if you could join me in reading the words on these screens, and then we're going to provide just a brief reflection, because we know we need to get to the game pretty soon. So let's read it together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. At the end of this dance party, with this lovely singing and dancing, and I did get a picture of Leah in there, we stopped and we prayed. Haiti is a country of great faith. 85% of all Haitians are in church on Sunday, at least, if not also Wednesday, and sometimes Tuesday and Friday and Monday too. So Haitians are very spirit-filled, and there's a saying, don't bring us Jesus. We've got plenty of Jesus. Bring us education. And certainly as New Jersey Christians, it's pretty incredible to be in such a spirit-filled place. And while we were there at the end of the dance party, after all this fun, after cake and celebration, we stood in a circle and we prayed. And we prayed for Central Church, and we prayed for the Children's Academy, and we prayed for all of our children together. And it was just such a lovely, hallowed moment to be together in Haiti. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. This is a painting that we've actually commissioned. This lovely painting of the school and the children will soon be in our fellowship room to remind us of the Haitians. And I've been reading a lot in Matthew about what the kingdom of heaven is like. The kingdom of heaven is like a pearl of great value, and it's like wheat and tares growing together. And it feels to me like the kingdom of heaven is in a beautiful little school on a hillside in a Haitian village, a place of such richness of spirit, and people who are finding a way together to overcome challenges. And so I invite us all to think about this being a place where you can really feel the kingdom of heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
I was personally really struck by, the energy and vitality of the women who were every day, heading down that mountain with fierce determination to provide for their families on a daily basis. And it's a daily activity in Haiti. I mean, it's day to day. You are hoping to make enough money that day to feed your family that night. And I was just so impressed by the grace and dignity and energy by which they went about, that daily task.
Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. This is a trash pile, and when it comes to deaths and it comes to debtors, unfortunately, sometimes we try really hard to help, and maybe we act a little bit too quickly. After the earthquakes, there were people sent huge teams in to build wooden houses with U.S. lumber. Well, it turns out if your house, you guys all have houses, sometimes you need to repair them. Well, guess what? There's no lumber in Haiti. So if your house is made of wood and it needs a repair, you can't fix it anymore. And so in terms of forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, I think we just need to be really mindful of the slow and thoughtful work it takes to really partner and really listen and to be thoughtful and to ask for forgiveness, and to move forward with grace and with dignity and with patience. Lead us not into temptation. So along with that, here we have a group of people who are asking the question, how do we educate 3-year-olds to be change makers? Rather than having the temptation of rushing in and fixing the problem, I invite all of us to enter quietly with a learner's heart and to think about all the things we have to learn from our Haitian partners. But deliver us from evil.
So one of the things in Haiti, as it is in a lot of developing countries, girls are not educated past 6th grade. And once they reach puberty, they don't go to school at all. So they are then vulnerable and at risk. And this is something that I think Haiti Partners is really focused on. The school is really focused on improving the lives of girls who are very vulnerable in that culture. And I think we should really, they're just starting a 5th grade, so they're getting very close to when they're going to be facing a lot of, going hard against some cultural norms. So I think we should really look to be in partnership with them in that endeavor.
And keep prayers. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Amen.
Amen.
There's a thin place between here and heaven. There's a kingdom closing in. It's our love for God and for others that makes the world look more like Him. That makes the world look more like Him. Be a heart to the ones I need. I'll show you love to the least of these. I would have never known if you didn't first love me. I've learned to love your hands and feet. I've learned to love all your hands and feet. Falsely claim love for each other. If we ignore the one in need, we prove we understand God's kingdom when we love the one who can't give a thing. When we love the one who can't give a thing. I'll be a heart to the ones I need. I'll show you love to the least of these. I would've never known if you didn't first love me. I've learned to love your hands and feet. I've learned to love all your hands and feet. There's a voice for those forgotten. The angels stand before the throne. They tell of sacrifice and of injustice, and testify of truth and love. They testify of truth and love.